So you're about to deploy. What is the value in talking about culture? Sure, you may get a chance to do a little sightseeing, but you're not going on vacation. You have a job, a mission over there. Why would it be mandatory to talk about culture? Well, to start with, we need to define what is culture. For the purpose of this course, culture can be defined as just about anything we human beings do that is not required for survival. For example, we all have to eat to survive. But what we actually eat and how we eat it, that is part of our culture. Some people may enjoy a slice of bacon, while others enjoy a freshly picked grub. Some people use forks and knives, some use chopsticks, and some use their hands. Most of the time, what we do is what we have learned from our environment, from our upbringing. To an individual, what they eat and how they eat it can be completely normal to them. You may find them to be strange, and they might think the same about you. This is culture. And the eating comparison, well, that's pretty obvious. But stop and think about everything we do as humans that isn't required for survival. The Air Force has determined that there are 12 domains that make up each culture. This isn't something to memorize, just something to consider when you're making yourself aware of your own culture or when you are observing the culture of others, what we call cultural analysis. The 12 domains of culture are history and myth, political and social relations, religion and spirituality, family and kinship, sex and gender, language and communication, learning and knowledge, time and space, aesthetics and recreation, sustenance and health, economics and resources, and technology and material. These domains are usually interconnected within a culture and should all be considered when looking at culture. Great. But what's the point of all this? The point is accomplishing your mission. Now, your mission isn't just flying or fixing the plane, pulling the trigger, or setting up the network. Your mission includes your presence in another country, your interaction with the people there, and the impression you leave on them. Your capability as an airman to adapt to environments of different cultures and effectively perform the mission is known as your cross-cultural competence, or 3C. If this could all be summed up in one word, it would be awareness. Awareness of how your own culture affects most of the actions you take, or what some call self-awareness, awareness of the cultures and expectations of others, and awareness of others' perception of you as you interact with them. A good simplified example of this awareness would be presenting yourself at a board for a promotion or an interview. At a board, you are going to be compared to the standards of those on the panel. You could think of this as a comparison of your culture to theirs. Should you be wearing ABUs or service dress? Will they want you to report, or is it more informal? What kind of questions are they going to be asking you? You would want to know these things, and that's basically you wanting awareness of their culture. So you get dressed in the appropriate uniform, and of course, check in the mirror and make sure everything looks as it should. Now, if there is a big glob of mashed potatoes on your shirt, you would want to clean that up because it would reflect poorly on you. That is you being self-aware. During the board, if one of the panel members tells you that something you just said was inappropriate, or if they tell you that what you just said was the best answer they've ever heard to that question, these are verbal cues of how they are interpreting or perceiving you. Now, if one of the answers causes a board member to respond with an approving nod or an iconic face palm, these would be examples of nonverbal cues of how they are interpreting or perceiving you. It should be obvious that being aware of any of these cues can benefit your success with this or any other situation involving you interacting with others. Now, a big part of controlling how others perceive you is emotion regulation. Just like a wrinkled or dirty uniform, a negative or hostile attitude can give others a bad perception of you. So try to act positive, even if you don't necessarily feel that way right now. We all have negative influences in our lives. We all feel some degree of anxiety at times, or worry, or stress. Always try to be aware of the emotions you are feeling, and know that you can still reflect positively on the world around you. This is true in a board, this is true in your normal day-to-day, but it's especially true when dealing with other cultures, where nonverbal communication is even more important. Cultural awareness is important because our effectiveness within other cultures can depend on how we're interpreted or perceived by others. Rather than getting into particular cultures or customs, the concept of culture general is a set of cultural beliefs and values common in all cultures. While a country can have a recognized culture shared by many, there can also be subcultures. A subculture is a cultural group within a larger culture, often having beliefs or interests that vary with those of the larger culture. The perspective shared by members of a culture or subculture is called their worldview, how they collectively see things. Perspective taking is the act of viewing through another person's cultural perspective. To do this, again, you must be aware of your own culturally shaped values, and you must gain awareness of the cultures of others. This is a learning process where you observe and collect information. The last step of perspective taking is letting go of your own cultural assumptions and attempting to view the world through their perspective. Now, you do not have to change your beliefs or do things that you think are gross or morally wrong when you're in another country. Adapting to another's culture is not adopting it for yourself. Adapting is observing and appreciating. Adopting is participating. If you must decline someone's offer for a tradition or custom, just be sure to do so with respect, considering how you would feel if someone declined an offer of yours. So again, culture is all about awareness. Awareness of your own cultural beliefs and actions, awareness of the cultures of others, and awareness of others' perception of you as you interact within their culture or they interact within yours. This concludes the Air National Guard Culture General course.